Welcome back to another edition of the Gabagools podcast. I'm your host, Jeff, episode 14. Back with me again, the Cuzzo, Dan. How we doing?
Lovely, lovely. Pop the bubbly, as they say. 14 episodes in, looking good. We'll start off with what we normally start off with. It's another beautiful day out there, right? Call me Tom Skilling to start the podcast. Uh, Saying it's going to be about 75 to 80 degrees in the Palatine Northwest suburb area where I'm at. So, beautiful day. Took the dog for a quick W, as we like to say. And now we're ready to talk some sports.
Absolutely, yeah. Quite humid out by us. I had to kick the air on because, don't like being all hot and sweaty in the house. Yeah. How was your Mother's Day, too?
Yeah, Mother's Day was lovely. Obviously, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there that are watching this podcast. I'm sure there's a few.
Yeah,
Um,
Mystic Dan sliding into the DMs.
um, but yeah, no, we went to the Hampton Social, had a nice brunch there. I think you've been there before, or at least you know of the place. So it's a nice little place. They give us a free bottle of rosé, I think last year and this year. So you can't really go wrong with free booze, can you?
No, never. Unless it's warm, then you don't like it. But most people don't have warm booze anymore. At least it's always chilled, especially if they give it to you at like a restaurant. You never have to worry about that. But yeah, free booze is always good booze. So, question here. We'll kind of put on our little drinking hats here.
Okay.
Um, Go through your favorite like times to drink a beer. So like it could be like a tailgate, for instance. So like I'll lead us off with it. So I'd say like my Mount Rushmore of like times to drink a beer would be like on my train ride home from the city. So like if I'm coming home on a Thursday afternoon, that's usually like right as like our in office work week ends. So it's like, okay, let's crack a tall boy on the way home since it's like an hour commute. So I think that's on my Mount Rushmore.
Well, I would say either, if the boys and I, if you will, if we're getting together for a debaucherous night, that's usually probably number one for me on the Mount Rushmore. I would say coming in a close second. I don't know how you are with your job, but every now and then you have a day where you walk in the door and you just say, you know what, I'm going to open up the bottle of tequila. I'm going to have a couple shots. And I'm also going to have a couple ice cold brewskis to go with that. So, I mean, I would say after a long, hard day's work, that would probably be number two for me.
Yep. Number two for me, because we're going to do it like a snake style here. My number two would obviously be the tailgate beer. So pre event, it could be anything. You can pregame pretty much any event if you really want to. But before you go to a ball game, having a couple beers at like a ballpark or out in a parking lot somewhere, those are always pretty good. And then adding to my list, I have to go with the airport beer because airports have zero time zones when it comes to a beer. So it's always a delightful time to have one or a nice mimosa.
I'm going to write that down. I don't think I've heard that before. Airports, what'd you say, have no time zone?
Yeah, no time zones, no sense of time. Pretty much, it's 5 o'clock always, even if it's 6 a.m. Usually, I've taken quite a few early flights in my day. Usually, most of the bars aren't open, but if you go to a certain club or whatnot, you might get lucky and they might open up a little early, have a couple of mimosas before your trip.
I very much appreciate the airport brewski. You have a couple cold ones before you get on the flight. There's something about that just really gets you prepared to get to where you're going to be going, right? That destination. You're like, all right, whether you like flying or not, you have a couple brewskis, you get on there. You're almost excited to get to your seat. Dare I say? I mean, I don't want to go that far, but
Yeah,
um,
depends
you
where you're
know,
sitting.
right. I would say that's up there. And I mean, I know this is, I guess, maybe a sporting event, so you could probably just group this under sports. But I'm a big UFC guy, so you could say tailgating's obviously a great one. Obviously, for the Cubs, we can't do a lot of that, but I've gone to Milwaukee a few times. Obviously, you can do it at the Cell, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, I would have to throw the UFC fight night on. For a good fight night with some cold ones, can't beat that either.
Yep. All right. Give me one more to wrap it up, and then I'll hit you with my final one.
One more, huh? Well, you know what? How about the wedding beer? Let's go
Ooh,
with
wedding beer's good.
let's
Are
go
we
with a
talking
wedding
like
beer.
pre-ceremony beer?
We're talking yeah, I would say pre-ceremony beer. I would say probably if not a pre-ceremony beer, once you get off the flight and you get to your destination or wherever, you almost have to have a cold drink in hand, I would say. And that's my plan for the wedding I've got coming up in a couple weeks. So once we land, we're gonna have a few airport beers obviously before, and then once we
Yeah.
land, I'm gonna say, okay, where's the nearest refreshment
Yeah.
area?
Where's the watering hole, as they said. And then moving into my last one, I'd have to say the barbecue beer. So you're turning on your Blackstone or whatever grill you're using, and you just crack a cold one with that, or have some sort of drink. That one's in my top one too. Pretty much anytime I grill.
That's a good one too. You know, usually when you're grilling, the weather's nice out. You're out there with here I go again talking about the weather. But you know, you go outside, the weather's nice. I mean, that should be on the Mount Rushmore, right? You go outside, 70 degrees, sunny day, 5 o'clock somewhere. You just say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna have a cold one.
Exactly, exactly. Well, enough brewski talk. Let's hop in there. Hit me with what you got from the NBA.
Oh, okay, well, NBA, a couple of, I mean, honestly, every series has turned out to be really good in this round we're in right now. Most people didn't have Cleveland doing too much in this series, and you know what? They've only taken one game, but for them to take game two the way they did, 118-94, I think that was Thursday night,
Yeah,
so a couple nights ago. But you know, I think Boston, you know, you could say Boston had a bit of an off night. Cleveland had a pretty solid game, though. They had six guys with 12 or more. Spider was the high man, as he usually is, with 29. And Mobley and Levert each had 21. So, you know, when you're getting contributions from your second, third, fourth options or whatever, that's always going to help. Um, I believe in game four, Boston came back and they changed this. They flipped the script a little bit with Tatum and Brown going for big games. That was obviously a couple nights ago, but you know, Cleveland, no one's really given them a lot of love or any credit.
no,
When they get enough contributions, that's obviously their thing. They're not nearly as deep as Boston. They don't have the 1-2 like Tatum and Brown,
right.
and Garland really hasn't been great this postseason either. They've been having to rely more on Mobley and other guys who have stepped up, but Garland's supposed to kind of be your number two over there. So if he can step up, you know, that'll help Cleveland a lot. I still have Boston winning the series. I'm sure you do as well, but
Oh yeah,
nice to see Cleveland take game two. What about you?
yeah. It was nice to see them kind of like put a good shellacking on them, kind of similar to what Miami did, but they, as you mentioned too, Boston really bounced back and really throttled them in Game Three of that series to tie or to go ahead 2-1. They play again tonight, so it's going to be interesting. I think it should be just a given that the team will win one. I think these are just ultra talented players, and people get hot at the right time. You never can count anybody out. But 7-game series, I'm still picking the Celtics for that one. Um, Another game I think tonight would be Thunder and Mavericks, and your Mavericks are up 2-1. Irving and Luca, kind of a unstoppable force. I mean, I thought for sure after was it game one that the Thunder really put a beat down on them too, or was it
Well, I know OKC took game one. I'm not sure the score, but I know that the Thunder took game one, and that to me was a little surprising because I obviously picked the Mavs to
right?
win the series. So, um, but yeah, I mean that series, I mean, ever since game one, I've been trying to catch every game because I'm super interested with Luca, and then obviously that this SGA. I really didn't get to see him play much during the year, but boy, is he good.
Yeah, and a couple other emerging stars have come out from that series too. I know that what's his name? I think it's Jalen Williams. I want to say it's Jalen Williams is kind of like broken into his own, and kind of put up decent numbers so far in this postseason. So obviously that helps. He's averaging 19.9 points a game. So this is where honestly, like they're kind of having their own little big three there. in OKC. But have you seen how many picks they have over the next like 10 years? It's disgusting.
I have not. And they're already a young team, which is scary to think if they have all these picks coming and they hit on a couple of these more guys. I mean, you've already hit on SGA, Chet Holmgren. I think he was hurt last year, so we really didn't get to see him play, but he looks he looks pretty darn good. I mean, I'd like to see him put a couple more pounds on. That's just me, but I
He
mean,
looks
he
different.
looks really good.
Yeah, he looks different than he did in Gonzaga. He actually did put some weight on him. But over real quickly, we'll run through it. So they have three first round picks in 2024. The first one's Houston, which is a protected 1 through 4. I always thought, side note, it's always interesting how the NBA does their draft picks too. How they can protect an early pick, they can do like the no bird clause, and you can't trade like multiple years in a row of the same pick. So I think that's kind of interesting. So you see a lot of those like 10 years down the road picks or pick swaps and whatnot. But back to the incoming ones. So they have three. They have Utah's pick, which is a protected 1 through 10, and then they have the Clippers pick. So they have three over the next year. They have one, two, three, four, including their own in 2025.
Are those
Uh,
first round picks or just picks?
these are first round picks, and
Holy
some of them are
shnikes.
protected. Some of them are protected, like they have Miami's, and it's a protected like 1 through 14. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, but just in the grand scheme of it, they have a ton of picks in 25. They have one first in 26, but a ton of like 3 seconds, and then in 2027 they have three, including their own, and then 2028 they have two. 2029 they have two, and a bunch of seconds in 2029. Like they have like 7 or 8 with no protection. So even worse comes to worse, they're still going to be able to get some role players. And then 2030 they have 3 seconds. So
Is
it's
there a
pretty.
team that's better suited for the future than the Thunder?
I not that I've seen, because just at the nucleus that they have now, and the fact that SGA was in the running for the MVP, which we'll touch on the Nuggets series with the MVP Jokic, the Joker. You know, they'll be up atop of the West for I think some time, like because they'll be able to stockpile talent. Like if Josh Giddey is not this guy that they need, go replace him in the draft, go trade him, go figure something else out. They really never have to go out the free agency. They can kind of stay internal unless they really need that one piece, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, with all those picks, it sounds like they're set up to be quite the team the next at least 5 to 10 years. Real quick with the Mavs, I wanted to give PJ Washington a little love too because he's been stepping up in a big way. I know when the Mavs even the series at one apiece, he had 20. I think him and Luca both had 29 each in that game, and then in this last game, he had 27. I think he was the high man for the Mavs. So Washington's, I mean, I'm sure he had a nice year. I didn't see a ton of Dallas games, but you
Pretty sure he
know,
got traded. I think he got traded there too this year.
okay, that's good to know. But you had Kyrie in that game too. I mean, he had I think 11 assists, but he only had 9 points. So you had PJ step up in a big way, score a
Yep.
bunch of points. I mean, if you're going to be having him scoring 25 to 30 points, and you've still got Luca, who's a little banged up and who's still able to put up 25 to 30 in a given
Yep.
night, and Kyrie's going to do his thing, you could see why people are, especially if PJ is going to do that. They're going to be a tough out. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Completely. Yeah. No, you can't say enough good things about Dallas as well. Big fan of Luca as well. I love the fact that he just talks shit to everybody. Could be a referee. Could be a shot he makes and he's wide open and he just talks shit to everybody. I think he's hilarious. If you ever want to have fun, just go look at the little feud that he had with Devin Booker. I think I've mentioned it on the pod a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, good stuff there. Moving into the Timberwolves and Nuggets. Um, Admittedly, I did put that nice little bet in there for the Wolves to win the series. I cashed that out before game 3 because
Oh.
I had a feeling, and I'm gonna like go out high, take my winnings, and just and enjoy the rest of the series because I didn't want to be sweating it out, figuring that my other New York and Boston series is not going as well as I'd like. Um, but you can't. The Nugget, we never touched on it because I think it happened this week. But the fact that what was it, Jamal Murray threw the heating pad on the court, and it was interesting because the league didn't do anything about it. They didn't suspend him, and of course the Nuggets didn't suspend him for a game like they should have. I thought that was kind of interesting.
That was some big news this past week, for sure, when that happened. A lot of people were a little surprised. I guess, you could say what you want. I guess, it is the NBA. He was fined 100 grand. You could look at that and you could say what you want about that. I'm sure that's a drop in the bucket for someone like him. But yeah, I mean, that's a bonehead move. You can't be throwing things on the court. Obviously, we know that, Jamal. That's a bonehead move.
Yeah,
He knows it. Um, but um, for him, just after that first game or two, I mean, he's started to step up and look more like the guy that he needs to be these last couple games. Obviously, game three, they won it 117-90, which was pretty solid win for Denver. They stepped up and looked like the championship team they were last year, and then they even the series, I think, last night, 115-107. So close game there. But Denver's starting to figure some things out with this Minnesota team, and I think that's what happens when you have these 7 game series potentially.
yeah.
You saw Ant Man look great those first 2 games. Not that he hasn't looked great these last 2 games, but he's not been putting up 40. So, um,
Yeah, ironically, the only game he didn't put up 40 in was on Friday. Other than that, he put up 27 in game two, and then game four, last night he put up 44. But it's a team effort, and then honestly, it would have been a lot closer, except the fact that the Nuggets went on like an insane run in like the first half and just didn't miss any shots. I'm pretty sure. What is his name? Well, I'm looking it up. I'll find it. But um, one of the players shot like 10 for 10. It was Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon started off the game like 10 for 10 for field
well, and
goals.
and he's a guy. When you look at this, when you look at their starting five, there's a reason they're just like Denver should win again this year. I'm
Oh
sorry.
yeah,
There's other good teams. When you have a guy like Aaron Gordon, who's your third, fourth option in your starting lineup, that's a guy who can get you 20 or 30. I mean, you've got Joker who gets his. Murray, when he's right, he's getting his usually every night. MPJ, I mean, that guy is what, 6'10", who's shooting threes like there's no tomorrow. You've
yeah.
got KCP, who is going to shoot a couple. He's going to get his points. And then you got a guy like Aaron Gordon, who's this big guy who can go down low. He can shoot. There's they're just athletic. They're big. I mean, that team shouldn't lose. And frankly, I don't know
No,
if they
they
should
shouldn't.
lose next year either. If they still have all these guys, I like their head coach Michael Malone. I like, obviously, Joker is one of my favorite players in the league. You see this guy. He had a play last night. He was, I think, triple teamed, and he still was able to just shoot it, 5-10 feet from the basket, easy bucket. I mean, there really isn't anything you can do with him. You can double him when he gets the ball. You can try to keep the ball out of his hands, but he's just, his IQ's off the charts, and
Yeah. It really
it's
is. You watch him just facilitate too. Like he'll like yell at guys on the court in like a productive way to like get in the corner or clear out, like just to know the play, and then like he'll get the ball and then immediately it's like he'll get it for 2 seconds and it's already moved in. They usually score off of that. It's kind of an interesting way just to look at it, but yeah, the team I just look it up. Most of the team will be together through I think 2025. I know Murray and Caldwell Pope are up in 25, so I mean you're still talking. The team should be together. I mean Reggie Jackson, remember that guy? He was with the Thunder coming up. He was huge. A lot of these players too. It's really funny because Aaron Gordon, when he was with the Magic, he was
mhm.
terrible. Reminded me of Blake Griffin, just a dunker. Um, sorry, Blake. Caldwell Pope. Could we blame it on the Pistons just not being a good well run team at the point. Could be that, but like they just get the best. Yeah, like you said, Malone gets the best out of his players, and I think Jokic does it. And I thought it was really funny though that when he answered his press conference about the MVP, he's like, "Oh, I don't care about that."
The only thing the Joker cares about is going home and getting a new horse or pony or whatever. That's
I was
all
just
that
about to say, yeah,
That's all he's interested in. He doesn't care. He's going
the
to make
pro,
his money. He's going to do
yeah,
his thing. He's so like he's so routine. He's in a routine, and he's gotten so far into that, which is what some of the best do. And you see them in these post conferences, or with the interview after the game, and they're just like, yeah, it's just a game, whatever. We'll probably win again, and I'll go home to wherever he lives, and he'll go buy another
Serbia, I think.
pony. Yeah,
Yeah,
Serbia. There you go. That's right. Him and
his big ass,
Djokovic are.
big ass brothers. They're all like the same height and look exactly the same. Um, but yeah, I think the T Wolves. I mean, I think it's going 7. I think we'll see the T Wolves come back out and put a hurting on them again.
I would agree. I think we have to see the Timberwolves. I have to imagine they have at least one more game in them. I mean, maybe Denver rattles off the next two and just says that's it. What gave you 2 games? We're done with you. But
Could be. Yeah.
and one more thing on them before we move on. Another thing I love about Anthony Edwards, he owns up to it in these post, whatever after the game. He
Oh
says,
yeah.
"Look, it was on me." I don't know if it was after game 3 or this last game. He said, "I didn't come out with enough energy. That's on me. I gotta come out, better for the team." And you know, you don't hear everyone come out and say that, especially when they're the star, they're the big guy who's supposed to be, whatever. Um, I don't think being good in the media is necessarily that big of a deal. But when you're a young kid like this who can answer questions like that and say, "Look, it's my fault. I'll take it on me. I'll come out better next game." You really have to respect and admire that.
Yeah, I know we don't want to compare him to like he doesn't want to be compared to Jordan, but if you remember in the Last Dance, one of the series they faced the Hornets, and B.J. Armstrong had a huge game, and he starts talking shit, and Michael Jordan was like in the locker room, and he said like, you know, oh yeah, you could talk shit when you're up like 15-20 with like a minute left or whatever, or you're up 2-0 in a series, but like the really good players will talk shit when it's 0-0 and keep it going throughout the series. And I think that's what we're seeing out of Anthony Edwards too, is he's continuing it, not talking shit in a bad way. I wouldn't say. I think it's that competitive fire, which is good because you need it. You need some type of fuel to really put you over the edge. Because if you go in flat, you're gonna get your ass kicked every single time.
Especially against the defending champs. So yeah, I mean, if he comes out with that fire, um, I'd like to see them push it to Game 7 just because I'm a sucker
Yeah,
for a good Game 7. But
yeah, absolutely.
um, they're going uphill now. You took the first two, now you lose the next two. So we'll see.
Yep. Gonna go back and forth now. All right, moving into the Pacers Knicks really quickly. The Knicks are just banged up. OG Anobi is out with his hamstring, and that's hamstrings don't heal quickly, as you know. I mean, they were already missing Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, and Bojan. Uh, so like they were shorthanded as it is. So now they really need those Nova boys to really step up. And it's just funny because Thibodeau will continue to run his players into the ground.
I was just going to say
I think
that.
I'm pretty sure he still has Luol Deng running around somewhere for 45 minutes.
He had at least in I think this last game, or I don't know if it was game 3 in that series, he had Hart play 43 minutes and DiVincenzo had 44 minutes. I mean, and I think Brunson had 38 minutes. I
Well,
mean,
that's a given because of how good Brunson is too. But
well, Brunson's banged up too. I mean, I know he's not playing at
yeah,
100%. And
right.
Ananobi, I was going to ask you, I know it's a hamstring. Is he supposed to miss the rest of the series? Have they come out and said that yet or no?
I don't know if he's missing the rest of the series, but he hasn't even started running yet as of 20 hours ago. So we'll see. I mean, I think he's missed the last two. Yeah.
If he's not even running yet, I mean, I'm no phys ed instructor, I'm no doctor, but if you're not even running yet and it's a hamstring, I don't think he's playing the rest of the series. And if that's the case, that's a huge loss for the Knicks.
Yeah, and that's going to make it a lot closer of a series. And that really, if you put a future bet on the Celtics to come out of the East, I mean, you made it even easier on yourself because the Knicks are really banged up. And as much as I would love to see them be really competitive, I think the Pacers might actually have a chance in the series now when I didn't give them much of a chance. And that's because Halliburton.
I was just going to say that you took the words out of my mouth. I don't know how many people gave the Pacers a chance in this series, and I would say I, my memory is a little foggy from day to day with the short term. But who did the Pacers play in the last series? I felt like they played a team that was
Milwaukee.
maybe okay. That's right, and they were shorthanded too. Giannis and Lillard didn't play a lot, so Indiana probably shouldn't have won that last series, and they have a chance to not only knock off the Bucks but also knock off the Knicks. And then, just like you said, it's probably the easier team for Boston to play. So it's going to look like as long as Boston gets through, which they're going to get through, right? They're going to
Yeah.
end up playing at the Pacers. I will say this for the Pacers: Halliburton's a star, and they have been up. I think in almost all of these games, they are playing the Knicks so well. I think game two they lost by a handful of points. I mean, game two the Pacers
Yeah.
almost won that game, and then these last couple games they looked really good in game three. They took game three obviously, and then last game obviously they spanked the Knicks, and now you're starting to see with the Knicks being banged up a little bit Indiana, the Knicks they left the door open. Tibbs is over playing these guys. Maybe he feels like he has to because they're down a few guys, sure. But now you've left that door open. Same thing for Minnesota. They took the first two games. Nuggets have come back in, won the next two. So, the both of those series. I mean, nobody had Minnesota probably winning against the Bucks, and now you've got them looking like they could beat the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, and I just looked at their stats quickly too. They have like 8 guys that are in double figures averaging for points. And granted, points aren't everything, but it sure helps. I mean, Pascal Siakam, he's averaging 20. He's averaging 20 and 7. So I mean, it's all you can do is just get hot at the right time. But watch out for Indiana. Watch them be overrated though next year because if they do get by the Knicks and they make it to the conference finals, they're going to have to face off against the Celtics. It's going to be ugly, but Halliburton deserves his flowers. We'll definitely give him to it. So,
And I
um,
think he's playing a little banged up too, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he's 100%.
yeah, I would assume so. And I hate saying it, but pretty much everybody at this point is
Yeah.
pretty banged up in the season. But yeah, no, a good call. So we'll see how the rest of it plays out the rest of this week. So next week we might actually, some of these series might be over. So we'll see.
Yeah, I
Um,
think you mentioned it. We got Boston Cavs tonight at 6, game 4. OKC Mavs tonight also 8:30. And then tomorrow we got Pacers Knicks 7 o'clock, game 5. Both tied up 2-2. Same thing with Minnesota and the Nuggets tomorrow 9:30.
Yep, exactly. Just touching quickly on the NBA lottery because that I think got released either yesterday or the day before. I'm not sure. Don't fact check me. But that being said, the Atlanta Hawks won the lottery. They got 1-1, so they'll take either Sar or Rias Scar from France, both big boys. One of them 7-1, the other 6-9. So. Might be back-to-back seasons that we end up with 2 Frenchmen as the number 1 overall pick, followed up by Washington Wizards, Houston Rockets, San Antonio Spurs, Pistons, Hornets, Trailblazers, Spurs again, Grizzlies, Utah, Chicago Bulls at 11, OKC, Sacramento, and then Portland again.
Well, I tell you, just my biggest takeaway from that is the Spurs obviously just had Wembanyama last year, and now they have two more picks in the top. What was it, 8 or 9?
14, I think. Yeah, overall 14, but they have 4, and then they have like 8 or 9. So yeah, that's how you rebuild quickly. I'll tell you that you end up with the luck of the lottery, but I know this one's not as big of a class. It's kind of very diverse. You have guys like Reed Shepard from Kentucky. You saw him go off. Cody Williams did really well for Colorado. a couple of those guys will be top five picks probably. Let's see who else is in that list, just real quickly. I mean, your boy Kling Kong, he moved up his stuff. Nikola Topic, and then Dalton Connect from Tennessee, the sharpshooter. Any of those guys could probably go in the top six. So either way, a lot of these top low teams are going to be a lot better next year. So should be fun off season as well. Um, any last words on the NBA?
No, I was going to say we'll have to wait and see when the draft comes. We'll have to see who the Bulls take. I think you said we have 11 or whatever. So all right,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Nothing
Yeah,
changes with that team. We'll
yeah.
recycle the same thing. Go get another 35-year-old guy to build around. So, sorry, Demar. Anyway, touching on the NHL really quickly. NHL minute, if that start the clock now. Stars are up 2-1 on the Avs. They actually got the doors blown off of them. I think in game one. I remember watching it and was kind of shocked that the Stars were getting beat that badly. But they've bounced back and just everything is going their way. They're a tough team. They're young. They're good up the middle. Obviously, that's how you win. The Canucks are up 2-1 on the Oilers. Surprise to me because Canucks are on their third string goalie. They're just a young, gritty team. They're big. They have, like I said, a bunch of guys on that team that are just really good players. That's a fun series to watch. But yeah, once again, if you ever ask like, oh, what game should I watch? I would have to say you have to definitely tune into that Star series because just it's a lot of talent on both sides of the ice. Moving into the Panthers and Bruins, Panthers are up 3-1 in the series. Very shocking to me. I thought the Bruins, but they're kind of getting older. I think Brad Marchand might be out tonight if they play or tomorrow. That is a difference maker. It's one of their big players. I think they just got tired. They had a 7-game series before it, and going to play against the Panthers, who are pretty good over the last 4 or 5 years. It's tough to beat. They have the experience now. I think they made the cup last year. And then last but not least, Rangers are up 3-1 on Hurricanes. They play tonight at 6. Rangers should close it out. It's another wagon team that's just they're loaded across the board. So that'll be a fun series between either the Rangers and Panthers or Bruins.
Alrighty, Rangers, go Rangers.
Yeah, let's go. Artemi Panarin. Anyway, moving on. You want to hit me with some Cubs talk?
Cubs talk. Cubs talk. This was, I think, about a 500 week this past week. We had San Diego to start the week. We had we've been facing some good pitchers recently, especially this past week, and I think it doesn't get a whole lot better. We just played Pittsburgh. We had San Diego to start this week. We had Darvish and Cease in there, so their two best. I think we were able. Obviously, we got shut out by your buddy Cease in the third game, so I'm sure you like seeing that.
Wasn't it a one hitter total or was it? I'll pull it up real quick.
Yeah, I was going to say you'd have to look. I know we didn't do much in that game. Cease was great. I think he went at least 6 or 7. I want to say 7 in that one. Probably punched out at least 7 or 10. I mean, when he's on, he's right up there with some of the best.
Yeah, and having Luis Arias on your team now too helps. But yeah, struck out 12, and they combined for a one hitter. So, good for Cease. Did you see his comment when they asked him about the Sox last year? He said it wasn't a whole lot of fun around here.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, which is fine. It's not shocking. You look at any headlines, most of the former players have been bashing the organization or bashing the locker room over the last couple of years. So good to see at least Cease looked good against your Cubbies. But yeah.
Yeah, he looked good. He's looked pretty good all the year. And I know Darvish looked pretty good in that game, I think, against us as well. I think we had a walk-off. I don't know if it was a walk-off. We won late a couple times this past week, which was nice to see because the offense the last 2.5 weeks is we started the year, first 3 or 4 weeks, we're scoring about 5.5 runs a game. The last 2.5 weeks or so, we've been just under 3 runs a game. So it's the offense has gone cold. We just brought Belly and Saya back, and once we brought Belly back, he's hit a couple homers, and he's already been a big jolt. So good to see him back. Steele obviously just came back. Didn't have it the other day against Pittsburgh, which was a little surprising to see because Pittsburgh's offense is just not
Non-existent.
great. I
They're
which
in a lifeboat.
There was, I think, a fan who called in. I don't know if you've seen this clip. I just saw it like a couple hours ago when I woke up. This guy was just screaming, and he was so upset with just how bad that Pittsburgh's offense has been. And then of course, we had a game. I think it was Saturday. I don't know if you saw or heard any of this. There was a real life major league, and I'm talking about the movie Major League with Charlie Sheen moment in there. When Bob Uecker goes ball 4, ball 8, ball 12? Well, in that game, I got home from work on Saturday, missed all of Paul Skeens, so okay, whatever.
That sucks. Yeah.
They brought this kid, I think Kyle Nicholas is his name. They brought him in. The kid's got good stuff. I saw him throwing about 98, but he couldn't find the zone. And he threw, I don't know if it was 13 or 15 straight balls in that game. The Cubs, this is a Cubs moment here. We found a way to lose that game 10-9. They walked in that game. We had the bases loaded. They walked in at least 6 or 7 runs in that game. And they also walked in, it was at least 5 or 6 in the one inning. I think it was the fifth inning when we had a rain delay and we came back and they brought, I think, Jake Fleming in or someone to throw. And then he walked the very next guy right after the rain delay. I mean, it was one of the funniest things. And I mean, it's hurtful too. I don't mean to be laughing at Pittsburgh. They
Oh,
they
you can
won the
laugh.
game,
Yeah, you can laugh
but
at it.
when you walk that many people in an inning, I mean, it's frightening. I mean, you feel bad for the guy on the mound because you just know his heart's racing. Everything's up here. He's thinking just throw a strike, and you still can't do it. But I mean, I've personally never seen someone throw ball 4, ball 8, ball 12, and I was just
Yeah.
I thought of Bob Uecker when I saw this kid. It was kind of funny.
It is funny. Yeah. Shout out Paul Skeens making his or MLB debut. That was awesome. So struck out like 7-ish. So good for him.
Yeah, struck out 7. I think he got charged with 3 runs. I think when he left the game, there was 1 or 2 on. So I mean, I'm not like I said. I missed him pitch. But from what I can tell, yeah. I mean, the kid obviously we know he's got
Got
big
the
time
stuff.
stuff through 100 miles or higher. I think like what was it like 7 or 17 times or something in the game. So
Yeah.
yeah, we get it. He's got gas. Um, we will. I wouldn't say it was a lights out debut, but I wouldn't say it was
No.
bad either.
No.
But yeah, I mean, we got to see him. We beat Jared Jones. I think that was the first game of the series. So that was good to see. We got a couple off of him. He's been another great pitcher for them. So yeah, hopefully the offense gets going a little bit more like we were with Belly and Saya back in the lineup. Patrick Wisdom too. I'll give him his flowers for a quick moment. I know 2 or 3 years ago when we were starting the year with Frank Schwindel, sorry, Frank the Tank at first, and Patrick Wisdom at third, I told the Cubs fans, I told Mama Hoff, I said, look, you can't expect a whole lot when you're rolling out Frank Schwindel and Patrick Wisdom as your starting first and third baseman. And nobody wanted to believe me because, all you see is Cubby Blue. But, um, they weren't great. Patrick Wisdom, ever since he came back this year, I think he started the year on the IL. I think he had a decent
Yeah.
spring or something. Um, he's hit a couple homers recently. He just basically won us the game yesterday with hitting a solo homer in the 10th to get us that 5th run. And then, of course, we bring in Adbert Alzolay to try to get a save, which he did get, but he also managed to give up a 2-run homer to Connor Joe to start the 10th inning. So that was also, great.
You could start calling him Carlos Marmol. He used to be one of my favorite like closers on the Cubs to watch. Him. Do you remember Kevin Gregg?
Kevin Gregg, I just Marmol had some good years, but then he fell off and it was just not great. Kevin Gregg too. That guy, I hated Kevin Gregg, and somehow he made an All-Star game the last year or two he was a Cub, but one of his last years I think he pitched, and I don't know how. But yeah, those are some big time relievers in Cubs history for sure.
Yeah, yeah. You look. It's funny to look back at some of this, like how poorly they can just go pay for a really good closer. That would be the way that they should do it. I mean, I don't know, but you just to mention too, Swanson Dansby ended up on the IL. So you get two guys back. You have to put one back, but those should be all right without them. All right. Moving into the week in recap of the White Sox, they've actually won quite a few games this week. They pulled off four in a row. Took 3 or 4 from a good Cleveland team. They took
Don't look now.
yeah, don't stop now, boys. Um, not much to say. I mean, it's nice they did call up Brian Ramos. He's looked good defensively. Hasn't done like anything really on the offensive side, but you know what? Give him the playing time. I'm fine with it. Hopefully, Luis Roberts coming back soon. That'll be huge. And then just Benintendi's looked a little bit better recently. Still batting a shitty 194. Andrew Vaughn kind of sprung to life the last couple of games, seeing his name on the sheet. But a guy that you might know from his Cardinals days is Paul DeYoung has been just tearing the cover off the ball. I think he had 3 or 4 games in a row. He had a home run, so might be a nice little trade piece.
He's always been a solid hitter. I think his big thing's really just been defensively. He makes way too many errors at short, but he's always been a guy who's got a solid bat. And I mean, that was a nice little signing for you guys. I thought, yeah,
Yeah,
if he has a nice half a season or whatever, just like you said, you trade him for a prospect or two, and there you go.
yeah, veteran leadership, and then Tommy Pham too. That dude I'm surprised no other teams wanted him. I don't know if he's just a problem in the fantasy leagues where he's punching people in the face. But Tommy Pham's been hot this week too. But you can't say enough good things about Corey Lee too. He had like a huge 7th inning home run the other night. That was pretty fun to watch. So good to see some little bright trickles in there for the pale hose as they call them.
Yeah, Tommy Pham. He's a guy that seems to like the last couple of years. He's on a new team. He gets traded at the deadline, and he's good for every team. He's a good guy to fill in the outfield. He gets his hits. He had some nice moments for the Diamondbacks in this last postseason. So he's nice. Corey Lee, I got to be honest with you, not super familiar with Corey
Yeah,
Lee. The Ramos kid, I have seen just a couple clips of him. He looks like he might be a decent player if he can get the bat going. But the Corey Lee guy, I do not know.
yeah, he was in the Houston Astros organization. He struggled with injuries and just backlogged, obviously, with
Hmm.
Maldonado was there for a while and just never could get through. Excuse me, out of AAA. So, yeah, decent things on the South Side though. Nothing worth noting, but still, it's a fun bad team to watch. Uh, moving into, did you see that the Indiana Fever have sold out their game for tomorrow? And it's gonna be on ESPN. I think it's ESPN or ESPN2, and it's gonna be pretty much like a playoff game. That the way they're treating it, they said that they're gonna have like all the press there. It's the Caitlin Fever, man.
No, I did not see that. I think I saw. I don't know how many games they've played. I think their season just started, but I think I saw they lost the first game by like 2 or 3 points, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was like 79-76. I think Caitlin had. I don't know if she had like 20, 21 points or something.
Yeah, luckily it was only a preseason
Was
game,
that
so
preseason? Okay.
yeah. I think Candace Parker retired though right as the season started for the Vegas Aces. So we'll see what that is all about. But yeah, the season kicks off starting tomorrow, Tuesday, with New York and Washington. New York is a good team. They got
She
screwed.
retired as the season started.
Yeah, like right before it started, like 2 weeks ago, I think she retired, which probably just to clear up a bench spot for somebody.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of an interesting move.
Right. But yeah, tune in to the Indiana game tomorrow on ESPN2. Anyway, moving into unless you have anything else about baseball worth noting.
Um, no, not really. I don't think we had, other than Skeens coming up. I don't know if there were any other big prospects or big names that came up. No, I think that's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, the Orioles still really won't. They're refusing to play Heston Kjerstad, one of their prospects who was tearing the cover off the ball. He just never is in the lineup. But that's about it for baseball. Moving into NFL, they just released like the opening night games. It's gonna be Chiefs versus Ravens. So Lamar versus Patrick. A little recap of the AFC Championship game of last year. So it should be a good game, good kickoff game. I do enjoy those. Might be one you bet the under on. Just on starting early, just because last year's game was like a really short margin, so you could see like defensively they kind of have to kick off everything that they can do. So we'll see. And then rookie mini camps are going on too. So my favorite thing for fantasy is the guys running around in shorts and minimal pads, making like a cool catch, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh, this is the guy! This is the guy!" And you end up with like Nikhil Harry.
There you go. Yeah, no, I'm hoping. Speaking of, I took we just had our draft in our other league. I think this past week or so. So I'm hoping. I got a couple guys. I took JJ with 8, so we'll see. We'll see how he does. I wasn't planning on taking him in the draft, but I did need another quarterback, so I got my other guys I wanted with a couple other picks. So we'll see how McCarthy looks.
Yeah, best of luck to you on that one. I've had 2 rookie drafts already. One last weekend and one this previous weekend. And both of them I traded up for Caleb. This past weekend I traded Justin Herbert, my 25 first, Zamir White, and a 4th round pick for 2024 for Caleb Williams and like a third next year. So we're rocking with Caleb. I'll have 4 shares of him going forward.
You got rid of Herbert,
Yeah,
Herbie.
yeah,
I
that
don't know about
offense is
that
gonna.
one.
I see. Listen, I like Justin Herbert. I know what he can do. I know he's getting a great QB whisperer too, but that's gonna be a very system. I mean, it'd be the time to sell. Today's the time to sell before he either falls off the side of the cliff or I think he'll still be productive, but they're gonna run the hell out of the ball. That's what Harbaugh likes to do. It's what he's always done. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, definitely this year is the this next upcoming season for Herbert probably is at least off. I mean, we'll see. He doesn't have the weapons around him, right? So we'll see what he can do. The thing I love about Herbert is that he's a big guy who can move. So I like that if he you get out of the pocket. I like that he could pick up the first down. He can go do just don't take too many hits, Justin. But yeah, man, we'll see. We'll see. I'm a Bears fan. I like Caleb. We'll see if he's the man. He's obviously been named the starter. So
Got to do
um,
the claw. He's been doing the bear claw every time too.
has he? Huh? I don't know if I've seen the claw.
Oh yeah, just go to any of the Bears social media. It's all over it.
Maybe I have to start doing the claw, man.
Claw.
Claw.
But yeah, yeah. Overall, these have been pretty successful rookie drafts so far. Lots of movement. Love seeing it. Love seeing the trades. Solo drafts are where it's at.
Yeah, yeah. We've had the draft that we had. We have had like 8 hours per pick because people are at work or whatever. So yeah, that draft I think last year took like 2 weeks or longer. This year it only took about a week, thank God. But the first day we had to wait. I traded the first pick away, so we had this kid. My one buddy Dan, his younger brother Jack had the first pick. Had to wait for him to wake up. Draft started at 8 a.m., so he didn't make his first pick until a little after 11. Took him over 3 hours to take Caleb. Okay, right? You just could have auto picked that. The second guy took Jaden Daniels. Took him over 3 hours to make that pick. Then our buddy Tom. I mean, 3, 4, 5 hours at least. So I had the fourth pick. I had to wait all day, and it's a Monday, so it's the second day I have off. So I'm waiting here all day, just sitting on my
It's
ass,
good.
trying to do just I'm waiting for Malik Neighbors to fall to 4. Right? I'm like, just take your picks, do what you're gonna do, so I can make my pick. I had to wait like till I don't know, it was like 7, 8 o'clock to make my pick. But you know what? We got it done with like a week sooner this year. So I can't
Oh,
complain too much.
you're gonna laugh. Yeah, you're gonna laugh at this. Both my rookie drafts were done in a full weekend.
I mean, some people move. So how many hours do you have, or like how much time do you have per
4.
pick?
We
4?
do 4 hours
Yeah, I feel like 4 is much more. I mean, if 4 is a
for
lot of time.
rookie. For rookie drafts, I think that's plenty of time because you kind of already know. The 4 hours essentially is just to see if you want to make a trade with somebody.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and I understand people are at work, but I mean, is it really that hard to? pick up your phone and just make a pick. That I mean, I don't think it's that hard. Who are people talking to? Are we on the phone with Bill Gates? You can't
Right.
you can't come on now.
I know most of the fantasy leagues that we're into, you get that. But yeah, overall excited for our draft coming up in a couple weeks. I know you'll be in Mexico for it, so I'll just kind of shoot you a little friendly reminder when your picks up. So
That would be appreciated.
of course, yeah. So excited for that coming up. Baseball full swing, NBA playoffs and NHL. So let's keep it rolling. Any closing words, arguments?
NBA play. I think I said this last week, but the NBA playoffs are just they're getting even better. I mean, I didn't. I saw some NBA games this year, but ever since this playoffs has gotten going, I got over the Bulls just being just a
Oh
complete
yeah,
waste of my time to even watch. And honestly, I'm excited to watch some of these series. That Pacers Knicks series to me has really captivated me, if you will. I'm very interested in that series, so can't wait for some of these game fours and game fives the next couple nights.
yep, absolutely. Like I said, tune into some of the NHL games too to get your wet your whistle for a little change in pace. But yeah, all right, close this out, kid.
Hey, it's a beautiful day, and you're gonna love us.